Hello, and welcome to this week's Jay Gray Report. I will not be appearing on camera on this episode just because I've been working on a number of projects, and it's going to be easier for me to record without being on camera, but don't worry, you'll see my pretty face next time. Okay, so the PlayStation reveal happened recently. It was a huge showcase of gameplay, a very slick presentation, and we saw the final reveal of the console, but no price point. Now, this reveal has happened because of no E3 or no live event, but Sony had already been pulling out of these larger E3 type of events by having their own showcase, even though the last showcase that I saw was in a tent apart from E3, and it was embarrassing. Whoever produced that on Sony's side did not do a good job. But this reveal, this event itself, was just over an hour of gameplay trailers with guests filling the gaps. And as Xbox revealed their own type of video that was a disappointment for everybody involved, this was another prize for the taking for PlayStation. And with just over an hour of gameplay trailers, they emphasize that everything that's captured has been captured in-game on the PlayStation 5. And the guests that filled the gaps are the developers, the designers, those that have been intimately involved with designing and making these games and are incredibly excited and putting their reputation and their career on the line to make sure this next game is a success. This is way faster and to the point. There are no dancers, there are no celebrities, there are no gimmicks. It is straight up facts from the people creating the art to the ones buying the art. Now, this presentation didn't have all the info we wanted, but it was enough to satisfy us. We're still waiting for a price point. Would have liked to have seen more established IP games, maybe a couple more features, more in depth to what the controller looks like and the functions. But overall thoughts, it was underwhelming. But let's take a look at the bigger picture of what this event was able to accomplish. New IP. We as audience members want something new, but we don't know what we want until we have it. New IP is a bit of a scary place for any type of developer or studio, but PlayStation is in a real good spot, and they have a lot of PlayStation studios developing games just for the PlayStation itself. And as we took a look at these new IP and new type of designs and new characters, we were familiar with the studios and those that were making these games, but a lot of this newness and showcasing, what's on the horizon, cool. Some of it looked cool, but so much of it was half-baked, underdeveloped. Now, these PlayStation studios were showcasing, new IP that's dedicated to the PlayStation 5. It's a riskier move. But with this upgraded technology, why not? Why not kick off a lot of independent titles using this technology? And a lot of the indies that we saw looked like indie games. They didn't look like full-on 40-hour RPG single-player type of campaigns. They were, hey, this is a beautiful-looking game. It's a platformer. It's going to perform very well. Let's showcase it. And for the most part, folks, this is the pattern that we've seen with any type of technological leap. We see the independent studios or smaller studios piecing together what they can to utilize this technology and put out a great game. Hopefully that'll be successful. But it also tests the water a bit of how this technology and the functions works, so they can take these learning lessons, at least from a hardware developer side, and provide those learning lessons and tools to all the other developers so they can easier put together. They can design on the console with better tools at their ready. So with the new IP, there is a lot of excitement. But look at the contrast of the established IP. Established IP utilizes a tech like the Ratchet & Clank demo, which it showcased them going into all these different dimensions with zero load time. Longer titles, less load times altogether. I mean, could you imagine loading into a first-person shooter where the load time would have the tips and it'd show like a nice layout of the map, and you're getting cranked up, ready to go, and then boom, it loads and you're ready to go. Depending on the type of system or internet connection that you have, if it's an online match, you'll have a different type of load time. But imagine if those load times have disappeared because of those solid state drives. And with a lot of our established IPs, oh my goodness, more characters in the game. You could have a tag team mode in fighting games because it could load more of the characters. You could have a larger roster, more enemy variety, smarter AI. Because you can load so much more information into each game title, There's so much more that we can do with the current technology and parts and pieces and tools within games themselves, right? It polishes and refines these tools even more so. Now, there's a struggle right now between the two, between the hype of new IP, which are untested but look cool, and established IP, which have obviously built an audience but are starting to get fatigued, right? So how do you balance the struggle between the two? And really, it's knowing where to put each of the different games on the hype train itself. You want to satiate, you want to whet the appetite of your customers by showcasing, the independent titles, the new titles, what these different individual games are bringing to the table that looks new, different, and exciting. And then you start to pepper in the heavy hitters. During this presentation, though, we saw towards the beginning the Miles Morales reveal for the next Spider-Man standalone game. And that had just about everybody I knew super pumped, but it also felt kind of obvious. Like, not obvious, but this was the logical step in the next direction for Insomniac Games, making their Spider-Man title to feature Miles Morales for two reasons. One, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is one of the greatest Spider-Man movies of all time, and Miles Morales is the main character. And two, Miles is a character in the Spider-Man game. I just hope that they don't try to recreate the magic of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse because it was so good that this Miles Morales needs to be, his own standalone character. But if they're able to learn from, harness, and encapture some of the elements from the film and incorporate that into the character of Miles Morales, absolutely. You saw a little bit of that with the trailer itself and the music that they chose, but I really wish it was What's Up Danger. I mean, that song, so well done, so perfectly placed in Spider-Man Enter the Spider-Verse. But that's tough. Again, if you have your own established, IP of Miles Morales in the movie, and you don't want to one-to-one copy everything from the movie. But yeah, I'm totally stoked to play the Spider-Man game on the new PlayStation 5 playing as Miles Morales. So that is one of the trailers that stood out to me the most because of the established IP. And when it came to the new IP, I mean, a lot of it just felt like fun indie games or fun puzzle games, or just fun games overall to take a break from, the crazy hack and slash of adventure games, or the nail-biting frustration of fighting games, or the crazy high-octane adrenaline of shooters, right? You got to take a break from some of those. So I'm excited. I'm excited for the hardware of PlayStation 5. I'm excited for the hardware of Xbox. I'm a bit surprised that the PlayStation 5 will physically be taller than the Xbox Series X. I'm forgetting all these names now. But that power is necessary for us to push into the next generation. And this leaves me into the state of the next consoles versus PC. I was a PC gamer for the longest time. I grew up with consoles as well. And right around 2015 was my last hurrah of playing games on the PC with The Witcher 3. I wanted to play more on console because fighting games thrive on consoles, in particular PlayStation. And after a couple years of mainly playing on consoles, but jumping on the PC here and there, I prefer playing on consoles. The number one reason why is because consoles are a closed system versus the open system of a PC. Now, with an open system for PC, there are so many wonderful things you can do. Mods, tweaking, deeper community involvement tools. Like, there's a lot more you can do on a PC. But because of that factor, you have a lot more cheaters on PC. And unfortunately, the software developers and publishers have not come up with a good enough anti-cheat software or anti-cheat policy that is universal. Valve has their anti-cheat technology, which works pretty well. But with some games in the PC world, there's just been too many issues with cheaters, especially in the Call of Duty realm. I have less issues with cheaters on a console because it is a closed system. It is much more difficult to try to augment or modify anything within a console itself. Plus, if you try to undertake such actions and there's damage to your console, guess what? That will void the warranty. So, less cheaters on console altogether. Plus, you can play a console in a living room with a controller leaning back on a couch. Usually when you're playing on PC, you're I shouldn't say hunched, you should have proper posture, but you are leaning a little bit forward towards the computer screen with your both hands separated on the mouse and keyboard. It's different ways to play. Everybody has their own style. Shooters are always going to be more accurate with the mouse and keyboard. But for right now, folks, I'm digging my console play. Now, the biggest reason, too, is fan noise. If you load up a game right now on your PlayStation 4 Pro, one of those games right now would be The Last of Us 2. Your fan sounds like it's ready for takeoff. It sounds like your console is about ready to enter the atmosphere. And that fan noise is starting to get pretty annoying. I've cleaned my PlayStation multiple times, but that fan will start to kick up when I play Mortal Kombat 11 as well. It means that all the hardware is firing on all cylinders, and it needs that airflow to make sure everything stays cool. So make sure you're not blocking any of the airways going into your PlayStation or your Xbox or even your PC. Well, thanks again for tuning in to this week's Jay Gray Report. I again apologize for no camera, but don't worry, I'll be back on camera before you know it. I will be doing a giveaway this week. The question for the giveaway is, which console or PC would you purchase first and why? Go ahead and let me know in the comments below, and I'll give out a $20 Amazon gift card next week to one of the winners. Thanks again. Make sure to tune in to my social media channels at Mr. Joshua Gray for any more updates of when I'll be going live this week. All right, folks, take care of yourselves. I'll see you next week.